All right, hi everybody, and welcome to our photo finish tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about star trails, and what I want to talk about is because this week or not this week, give me a break. My brain isn't working. I'm still have you ever been down US 1? You know those arms that they have for the trains where
Yes.
there's no trains. They have those for buses, and it's just I can't get over how upsetting that was because they didn't let us through. I was so mad. Anyway, back to the Star Trails. The end of the month, Jason is going to be doing a night photography thing out at Kirby Storter, and he's going to be showing people how to do the deep space stuff. But if you don't have a really long lens, you can, while you're out there, you can try doing Star Trails. So I thought I would go over that. It's fairly simple. So I'm going to just talk about a couple of different ways that you can do it. So there's the stacking for star trails, or there's the single shot. Um, so the single shot is where you put your camera in bulb mode and you just let it expose for several minutes, probably up to an hour. You want to capture the movement of the stars, or technically we're the ones moving, but in this scenario we're going to talk about stars. And the pros of that situation is that there's only one image to store on your memory card, only one image to store on your hard drive. It's also the easiest method to complete, and it's great for foreground detail because when you shoot that way you don't have a high ISO. Now, the cons of doing it that way is, especially here in South Florida, the camera is going to get quite hot because your camera is constantly exposing, and the shutter is constantly open, and the sensor is constantly working. So it will heat up your camera quite a bit, and if it doesn't shut it down, it will introduce a lot of hot pixels and a lot of noise. Um, Another con is it's pretty unforgiving if there's like some kind of weird situation that happens in front of you, like errors, maybe. Let's see, if somebody comes up with a flashlight, which is my biggest pet peeve. For those of you that have been out with me at a night shoot in a group, anybody with a flashlight when you're exposing is totally irritating. Um, Now, if you're shooting an hour-long shot and somebody introduces a flashlight, that could really put a damper on that shot. Or you could get some fog or condensation, which is pretty likely here, especially in the summer. Or you may have a dead battery, and then your shot's done. Another con is to keep your camera from getting way overheated. You normally want to keep it under an hour of an exposure, supposedly what I've read. I've never done it this way, but that will cause you to have shorter star trails. So those are just a couple of things. Now the other way we do it, this is the way I do it, and it's the only way I've ever done it, is to take multiple shorter exposures. I recommend at least 200 20 to 30 second exposures, and then you stack them together in a processing software like Photoshop, and then you merge them to form one star trail image. And that's what I'm going to show you today. The pros for doing it that way is that because you're shooting multiple images, the possibilities of capturing something unique in a single frame greatly increases, such as maybe a bird flies in, an owl, or maybe if you're out somewhere else, maybe a bear, and you might get a shot. Now, if you had your shutter open for a whole hour, you would never see that. Also, a shooting star, that's possible. And you can pull out different other frames, especially if you're like in the summertime, you can get a Milky Way and pull that out of an image. Another pro of this method is you can create a time-lapse video, which I love to do. So the more you have, the longer your time-lapse video can be. Another pro is it's great for really long star trails. You're going to have to commit yourself to all-nighter, but if you can get 400 or 500 shots for a long time, you can really get some really nice star trails. And then the last pro for doing it this method is the trails are brighter and they're more contrasty. Now there are cons to this. Multiple exposures, obviously it's in the name. There's many exposures and it take up a lot of storage on your memory card as well as on your hard drive. And they require more processing, which it's not too terrible, but there is extra steps to it. And I'm going to show you how to make it easier. And because you're doing shorter exposures, you need to up the ISO so that you can capture this. So it will create more of a noisy foreground, but there's always ways to get around that too. So those are the pros and cons and the different techniques of doing it. So the way you do the single image trail is you turn on your camera, make sure you have your long exposure noise reduction on, and then you just take the frame. There's a rule called the 444 rule. 40 minutes at f4, ISO 400. If you want to do it that way, I would not recommend it. Just that's never been the way I've been doing it. But that is a possibility if you're by yourself and you have no other options for lights or anything else coming in. If you're in a group, I highly would not recommend doing it that way. But if you are going to do it, make sure you got a fully charged battery. I recommend that for any time you do this. Make sure you're very stable. Your tripod is strong and sturdy and it's not going to wobble. And like I said, don't get any lights leaking in. Headlights, flashlights, tail lights, any kind of lights. Even opening up a car door from 50 yards away, you're going to get light coming in your shot and you're going to be like, ah! That's for all of them. Now when you stack, it's pretty much the same with the stable tripod, the lights, and battery. But with this method, you want to turn off your long exposure noise reduction. For those of you that don't know what that is, a long exposure noise reduction is a feature. You turn it on and your camera, basically it shoots whatever you set it up to shoot. So you got a 30-second shot, you push the shutter button, your camera exposes for 30 seconds, and right away it shuts the shutter, takes another exposure with that shutter shut. And what that does is it takes any hot pixels that are in that closed shutter and it subtracts them from the one you took that was open. And supposedly it gives you a cleaner shot. If you're doing single images, that's a great thing to do, and I've done it for like Milky Ways and stuff, especially if you have an older camera and it has a lot of noise. But for star trails, you want to turn that off because you don't want that camera pausing for another 30 seconds before it takes another shot. Okay, so you want to use an intervalometer. Oh, I was gonna grab mine, but I can't remember where it is. It looks like a remote control. So you can use one of those, or now most cameras have it. You can do it right in the camera, and set your exposures between 20 and 30 seconds. The lowest f-stop aperture on your camera, f2.8, f1.8, and 1.2, depending on whatever lens you have. And then you want to start around ISO 3200 and then just take some test shots. So you play with it, and then when you get a good exposure, that's when you want to set your interval. So you take a shot, and then so you're going to set it up in your camera. So you got let's say you got a 20-second shutter speed. So it's going for 20 seconds, and then you need to have an interval in between the next one. Some of them, the lowest is a second, but newer cameras are coming out that you can go like half a second. You'd have to check your camera to see what that is. Or you can just do the laser way like me, is just plug in your little shot, take remote control, and just let it go. Just turn it on and click it and let it shoot continuously. Just monitor how many hours you've got it, and you can kind of do the math and figure out how many shots you'll get. Okay, so we'll go over this again when we get out in the field, so how to do it. This is just kind of like a quick how we do it. What I want to do here is show you how I process them. So processing a focus stack is fairly easy. You want to start off in a raw processor such as Lightroom, or if you're a Photoshop person, you would go into Camera Raw. It's the same thing. Maybe you use a different program that has a raw processor. I don't know what they are, but anyone will do. And then once you're done processing, you're gonna sync that whatever you've done in that first one with all the other ones, and then you're gonna input them to Photoshop and stack them. And then we use a method called we change the blend mode of a layer, and then and I'll show you what it looks like. But that's pretty much it. It's simple, but you got to follow the steps. So let me open up share my screen. Where is it? Hold on here. Here we go. Share. Share. Oh. Oh, you don't need to see that. You don't need to see that. Okay, you guys see my Lightroom? Yes?
Yes. Yeah, I
Okay.
can see it.
I can't see you guys, so maybe I can. I got this light that's giving me a glare. Here we go. Okay. So I chose some images that I took back in 2018. I was with another member, Cheryl. Her and I went out to practice because the next night we were going to do was a Perseid meteor shower. So I have here 201 photos that I took at Royal Palm, or the Anhinga Trail. If I zoom in here, this is the entrance to the Gumbo Limbo Trail. Right in here, you can see the sign. So you kind of get your bearings. Okay. So what you're starting to develop module. Now I'm on the first image here. And I had already gone through, of course I have a couple other images that I took before, and I made sure that I was in the correct one, because I tweak it. You know, you go out, you tweak it, you're like, no, that don't fit, let's do it this way. This night I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to take the shot, because I was just playing with it. So I am going to try to crop. Well, I'm not going to try. I am going to crop. And for vertical, I like to go 4x5. So I'm just going to do a 4x5 crop and have it fit. Obviously, you can see I got a Milky Way in there. That's the one thing. Now, the thing about this is I remember that night I rented, Sigma came out with a brand new lens. It was I think it was a 14mm f1.8 lens. Yeah, 1.8, 14 mil. But look at what it does to the trees. It just makes them all kind of converge on each other. So this, I'm going to turn it just a little bit. It's a little crooked. All right, so that looks good. So we got the crop set. Now I'm going to go into lens corrections, make sure I check to remove chromatic aberration and enable the profile corrections. That's something I do on all of them. Normally I have that happen when I import them, but because I had to reset all of these. And we're going to go to the basic panel, and this obviously the color cast is awful. So what I do to fix color cast is I go all the way down to the bottom of presence here, where the vibrance and saturation, and I put them both at 100%. Now that looks pretty awful, doesn't it? And this is where I can tell what I want. So then I take the temperature slider and I bring it down because it was nighttime. And I move the tint a little bit, and I don't want pink in my clouds, but I also don't want them to be green, so it's a little bit of a dance. That looks pretty good. And then I zero these out. So now we're at a situation that looks a little bit more doable. Okay, that looks good. Now it's a little bit bright for my taste, so I'm going to bring down the exposure because it is nighttime. Whoops. I'm about to stop. Now I want to up the stars a little bit, so I'm just going to raise the highlights a little bit and the whites just a little bit. And then to bring out a little bit of the detail in these darks, I'm going to up the shadows just a touch. So you can see what that is. Now this was taken with an old camera, so the quality isn't great, but it does show what I was trying to do. I didn't turn this enough, so I'm going to... There we go. Fix the crop. I want to make... That's my biggest pet peeve, is make sure that your horizon is straight. And then I think I'm going to do a little bit of clarity. I love my clarity slider. Gives a little bit more of a boost in the sky. So you can see I got a little... Oh, I bet it's an airplane. Just a word to the wise when you're doing stuff like this is if you have a line in your image like this right here, and then you have another line similar, just a little bit to the left or the right in the next image, that's not a meteor shower, that's an airplane. Meteor showers move so fast, or the meteor come through so fast that you won't even, you can only get it normally in one. I think I've had one other situation where one entered as my shutter was shutting and then it exited as the next one started. So I was lucky to get it in two, but most of them, it's usually just in one. So I'm sure there's more I could do here. You know, this could probably be removed. Let's do that. I don't want any AI because that just slows everything down. See? There we go. Get rid of that branch. And you can take your time. Now here, oh, no, that's, sorry. I thought it was a spot, and that's on my, oh, see here we go. I don't know if you can see this. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Right here, this little white dot and this white dot here, those are called hot pixels. Probably because I had been using it. You can see them all over the place. Right here, right here. Now, if I was going to make this into a really good photo, or try to, I would remove those. Just use the remove tool. But that's what happens when your camera gets hot, is it introduces these hot pixels. And you can see there's a red pixel right there in the middle. Sometimes there's a green one, sometimes there's blue ones. Here's a green one, there's a blue one. So, yeah. It's an old, like I said, it's an old camera. I get a lot of hot pixels. So for my taste, I think that's fine. I'm going to leave it as is. But what I want to do now is I want to apply everything I did. Is there anything else I want to do here? No. That's fine. I want to apply it to every single image, all 201 images that I have here. So with this image selected, I hit the, what I did was just now I hit the Control or Command key and then A at the same time, and that will select all of the images in my film strip. But you can see here, this one on the left, this one is still, it's just a little bit brighter than this one here. So this is where it's going to copy from, and it's going to paste all the other ones here. Does that make sense? Let me start all over again. So you can see here I have this selected because it's got the white frame around it. All these other ones are gray. So I click and I hit Control or Command and the A, and it selected all of them. Now you can see this gray is a little bit lighter, but this is brighter. This is the image that's gonna, and we're going to sync it with all the other ones. And then all you got to do is click sync and check all, because I want everything that I did to be synced with the other ones. Now there are times when maybe you did something to one image and you don't want a certain thing, like maybe I don't know, maybe you removed, maybe there was somebody walking in this picture and they're not in any other, but so you wanted to remove that person, so you might want to uncheck the remove. Where is the remove here? It's in here somewhere. Effects. Oh, here's the remove check mark. So let's say like there was some person standing there and you're like, God, that guy was in my shot, I don't want it. So you remove him, and then you want to sync it, but you don't want to sync that remove in every image because he's only in one image. That's when you would uncheck that. But since we're not doing that, we're just going to check everything and then click synchronize. Now it's going to take some time. If you look at the bar up here, you can see it's doing it. And what it's doing is it's going to apply every single edit that I did to all 200 of these extra images. This might take some time. Does anybody have any questions while we're waiting?
Yeah, I do, Barb. So that includes the crop you did at in the image.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
Yep.
you.
When I do all those little check boxes, if you check all, it will copy every single slider, every single crop, everything. Even if you put masks, if I would have put like a radio mask, or if I would have masked out maybe the clouds, let's say I did something, I can move it. Let's say I made a mask to remove these clouds, it would copy, but the problem with the clouds are moving, so you don't want to create a mask with something that's not going to be in an image somewhere else, which is, and stuff like this. It's and I have a little how-to, and I'll put it up on the website. I think we probably already have one somewhere, but once you start doing it, you won't need it anymore. You're just like, oh, that's what you do. I sometimes forget. I get confused with the star trails and the time lapse. But to do both, this is pretty much, you do the same thing up to a certain point. When I'm done doing this, we're going to export every single one of these to a JPEG, and a small JPEG, because otherwise it'll take forever. And this is the problem is this takes so long right now because I'm also recording, so it wouldn't normally take this long if I wasn't recording. Anybody have any other questions? Maybe with technique or no? Has anybody not ever done star trails?
Yeah,
No?
I've never done star trails.
Oh, you never?
Nope. So I'm looking forward to the outing.
Yeah, that's something, it's like, well, in the wintertime, like when we went out in December, when we were clouded over, that's basically what we would have done, is set up and essentially to take star trails, and hopefully you will find a star trail that has meteor showers in it. But we all know what happened that night. There was you wasn't seeing any stars that night.
Well, I was gonna say we don't know what happened because we went out early because socked in.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't see any stars when there's clouds.
No.
So, but I remember when I first learned how to do this. Oh man, the first time you see it, you're just like, oh my God, this is so much fun. And I went out. I remember because I used to go out and I used to have a little fun. I used to go out quite a bit. And that first year, New Year's Eve, I said, I'm not gonna go out. I'm gonna go out to the Everglades. So I went 4 different places and I shot in 4 different directions. And I did like 200-300 star trails, whatever. And I was out most of the night and I had such a good time. But I I looked at it and I was able to see what the star trails look like when you face different directions. Now, when you face north, especially if you can find where Polaris is, if you put Polaris in there, you will get star trails that circle, and it looks like a big circle. If you face the opposite way, because you can't see the South Pole, okay, looks like we're done. And then when you're facing east or west, they kind of, and I'll show you in this one here. So it's all done syncing. You can see here on my film strip that they all, well, they're not showing it. So I am going to show you why this is the better method than doing it one big hour-long exposure. Because when I originally did this, I put together a time-lapse video and didn't think nothing of it. I was watching it and, patting myself on the back. Oh my God, what a great job you did. And all of a sudden, I saw the most unbelievable thing. Here. I had a meteor shower come right through the Milky Way. Can you see that?
Yes.
That big old green looked like a spear. And I was like, oh my God, because I never saw it. Excuse me, I never saw it while it happened because I was probably on my phone or talking to Cheryl and wasn't paying attention. Like I said, this was the day before the Perseid meteor shower. So if you go out for a meteor shower and the peak is one certain time, you don't have to go out. Yeah, it's best if you go out then. But if you go out like a couple days before or a couple days after, and for Perseids, you can go like almost a month. I remember going out years ago and was getting quite a few meteors in July. Now Perseids is in August. So yeah, if you were shooting a single exposure, like an hour-long exposure, this would never have shown up. And you never would have known. Something else that I want to show you, and this is what ended my star trail. Somebody drove up. Now you can see where I was. There's the entrance to the Gumbo Limbo Trail. Somebody came up from the main road and were driving through the parking lot, and it just splattered the whole thing with headlights. So I thought, well, I got 200 shots here. I just turned it off. Again, if this would have happened while you were shooting an hour-long shot, and like I said, this is 201. If this came up in the last couple minutes of your shot, that whole hour is just wasted. So the good thing about this is I don't have to use this. I can make this be my last shot. Now, if it was somewhere in the middle, you could just not use it. It will cause a little bit of a blip in between star trails, but not that now if you took out a whole chunk of 4 or 5, it might make a big difference. But just taking out one image won't really do that much. So that's a good reason to not just set it up for one big long hour-long shot. Okay. So we've got 200 here because we're going to eliminate. We're not going to use this. We're going to end it here. And it's funny, you can see here, see how dark these trees are? I think there was some lights, maybe a meteor, or not a meteor, the moon I think was out. So it's a little bit brighter. Oh, you know what it was? This is Mars. I remember that. It's always good to have one of those apps on your phone where you're sitting there like, oh, I wonder what that is. And just point and it'll tell you what planet it is. Anyway. Okay, so we have synced all of our edits and we're going to take from 1 and we're going to go to 200. Now to select, I can select all like I did before, Control or Command A. Now this selected this one here and I don't want it. So while I have the Control or Command button pressed, I'll just click on it and that will remove it. So now I have to export all of these to make a JPEG. Now when I have presets in my export, a bunch of them. So if ever I do like competitions, or if I submit for different things, I will keep the preset here. It makes it just a lot easier if I keep doing it. Some of the stuff I could probably delete because I don't really do it anymore. But so you see down here at the bottom, I have star trails and I have time lapse. Essentially, they do the same thing, but I am going to do star trails. I'm just going to click on that. I don't want to click here because that does some weird things. I don't know what. But I'm just going to have this highlighted so you can see up here where it's going. So it's going to export to the same folder as my original photos. So wherever I have them saved, I have a check mark here in the put in subfolder. So Lightroom is going to actually create a subfolder within there, and it's going to be called Star Trails. You can see I put that in there. This other stuff I didn't do anything with. And the file settings, I'm making it a JPEG, and I'm limiting the file size to 2,000 KBs or 2 megabytes per file. If you have several hundred, now I only have 200. Now if you're getting up to the 400, 500, 600 image, you think the 200 took a while. And you start doing that, and then when we import them into Photoshop, takes a while. Everything just takes a while. So the smaller the file size, the better it is. Now, if you go in and you're like, oh, that's just way too small, you can always redo this. Like I said, I've already done this. I just hit reset on every image and I just started over from scratch. So I click the limit file size to 2,000 Ks. Yes.
Okay, Barb, I got a quick question, Barb.
Yep.
So how can you tell whether you've exported a file that's too small?
Well, this is just the file size.
Okay.
If you know what I mean is, let's say I did the 2,000 KBs or 2 megabytes per file, and then I put them together, and let's say it's such a fantastic image that I want to blow it up even bigger. I might want to go back and re-export them, maybe 5,000 KBs per image, and it'll make the actual file bigger at the end. But I really, you can play with it. I used to do 5, and it just would take so long. Plus, I used to edit on a laptop, and that just dogged everything. But now 2,000 is good for me, especially now my new camera. This is a 16 megapixel camera that I took this on. So the one I have now is 45 megapixels. So that file size is going to make a big difference.
Barb, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you took 200 images here, correct?
Yeah.
201, but you're not going to use the last one.
Correct.
Okay, now what was the exposure on each one of these? Approximately.
Well, because the lens was a f1.8 lens, my exposure was 15 seconds.
15 seconds for each one. So if we multiply 15 times 200, that'll give you the total time, correct?
Well, we're not doing a time lapse. We're doing a star trails.
Right, but I'm saying is, but you said each one took 15 seconds, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, so 15 seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have a lens like that and you can get away with it, yeah, absolutely. You can make a longer exposure and just lower the ISO so that will give you less noise.
Less noise. But so the ISO you said on this one was 3200, right?
I had it at 2500. You can see over here.
Okay, great.
The 3200, those are just rough, and it's not, every single shot's going to be the same.
Yeah.
You gotta play with it. That's a good starting point. And then,
Right.
like I said, you go out there, set it up that way, take a shot. If it's too bright, I would app to now. The thing with star trails is the longer your shutter speed. So if between 20 and 30 seconds, you're gonna actually see stars trail in
Right.
30 seconds. If
Yeah.
you want pinpoint, like I have that meteor in there, and there's also Milky Way in every single one of those shots. If I wanted to pull out a Milky Way, I don't want something that's just going to be a big blur. So I will opt to have a faster shutter speed. So like I said, 15 seconds.
Okay.
Um,
Did you use any filter? I know that they have a filter for minimize the light pollution. Did
no,
you use
I don't.
that?
No,
No.
it just makes everything darker. So I
Yeah.
mean, I really don't know. I've not used it. I don't know how good they are. I wouldn't recommend it, to be
Okay.
honest. Just don't face the light, and you can
Okay.
always
Yeah.
play with stuff
Well,
in post processing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Barb, there was a time interval between the images, correct?
Uh, well, very minimal, whatever the minimum
Okay.
was, because what in my intervalometer, if you push there's like it's like a remote control. So you plug it into the camera and you push a button, and then when I push it in, I can slide it, and then it kind of holds it open. So it constantly is taking a shot. As soon as one shot is over, it starts the next shot. So it's probably just the 1 second. I didn't set the interval. I didn't set the timer up. The problem I have with timers is something will happen and I will be like, oh, I want to start over, and then I can't. I gotta wait for it to stop. I'm very impatient. So if something is looking bad and I've already committed to 200 shots or 300 shots, then I can't stop. I mean, you could stop it, but it's just easier to unclick my intervalometer and be done with it.
Okay. Thank you.
We did do it. Now I think I saw Ray's name here. A couple of years ago, we went out to Flamingo, and oh my God, I was so mad because I had set it up in camera. I said to myself, I'm gonna figure out how to do this in camera, and I had it set up so when you do an intervalometer, you have, like I said here, we have a 15-second shot. So if I add a second for the interval, so the interval will be 16 seconds. So I set up my camera, and I'm like, why isn't it? It would take the first shot, and then it wouldn't do it, but I could still see the light was working. And come to find out, it took me about an hour, and I finally figured out what it was. I had set it for 17 minutes, not 17 seconds, or 16, whatever the number was. So be careful when you're setting it that you have the correct numbers. Um, and if you whatever camera you have, what I would recommend if you've never done it is sit down in front of YouTube, pull up, type in your exact camera model, and write how to set up the intervalometer, how to set up a time lapse or whatever, and it can show you exactly the steps to take in your specific camera. But that's the gist of it. Okay, yeah, so you can see over here, I had 14 millimeter, and it was ISO 2500, and I was able to go that low because of the 1.8. Now, if I was shooting with my f4 lens, which I have, I did star trails at the Nike missile site with my f4 lens, and it did it just fine. But my ISO had to go higher because my f-stop was only f4, not 1.8. You can always mess with it. So that's just if you know your exposure triangle, one goes up, one goes down. You just try to make it work however you want it. I like a faster shutter speed so I can get more pinpoint in case I want to pull something out, like I did. And if I have to raise the ISO, fine, because software nowadays can handle it unbelievably compared to when I originally took this. So, any other questions before I keep going? I love the questions. No, everybody good? Okay. So where were we? JPEG, sRGB, which yeah, that's pretty much everything. That's what you want to do when you're, because that's the only kind of color space that computers recognize, unless you have a fancy display. But sRGB is fine. And these other things I don't worry about. Image sizing, I don't do anything with that. Metadata, I don't do anything with that because it's all going to be pushed together into one other image anyway. So this is basically, I want to tell it where to go, and I want to tell it how big to go. So I'm going to click export. And looks like I, yes. I already did. I tried it last night with one image. So now you can see up here, export 200 files. Again, it's going to take a while. Anybody have any other questions while I wait?
Yeah, Barb, another question.
Sure.
So when you took this image, I know I have Stellarium, and Stellarium tells me exactly, where the Milky Way is at.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to use it, or were you able to see this with your? Could you kind of see it with your naked eye?
Yeah, you can kind of see it. It looks like clouds a little bit. I don't use Stellarium. I have some cheap app that Robert told me about 100 years ago. It's called Go Skywatch, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Go Skywatch. If you just go to your little app store,
Yeah.
just type in any kind of space app and whatever's free, and it shows me where the Milky Way is. I don't use it for specifics, but it's good to show where it's at in the sky. So if I'm somewhere, I'm like, okay. And then after a while, if you really get into this kind of photography, you'll know at what time of year and at what time of night where the Milky Way will be in the sky.
Right. Okay.
So we got some
So,
time. So
so it
in
looks
early in the spring, the Milky Way rises in the east. So it doesn't really rise, but for our sake, we're gonna call it rising. So it comes up and it's almost horizontal. Comes
right.
up in the eastern sky early in the morning. I had gone out a few years back in February, early February, like now, and it was just before sunrise that I got it. Now you wait till August when I took this. This was what time of night was it? This is midnight. Okay, yeah, it's almost vertical. So this is almost vertical, but come like June, July, you will see the Milky Way right after the sun sets, or as soon as the sky gets dark enough.
Okay.
And that's usually in the southeastern sky. And then as it goes, you can't see my arm, but it kind of comes up and then it rotates.
Right.
It's almost like, how do I explain it? It's like a big sickle, like you're swishing a sickle. It's going one way, so the whole thing kind of rotates, but it's curved.
Right. And you can only really see this in places like the Everglades, but not in the city, right? I mean, you couldn't take this
No,
picture. You couldn't
no,
take a picture of
you
it in the
can't
city.
even photograph it. No, I tried once.
Okay.
I was on the
Okay.
Redlands once. My friend lived out there, and I go, I'm gonna shoot the Milky Way from your house because I was out in the Redlands. Well, no,
Right. No. Okay.
still too bright. And you want to do it on a dark moon night. A little bit of moon. I'm partial to a little bit of moon because you get a little bit of light on the foreground, and then you don't
All
have
right.
to worry about using so much shadow lifting.
And you didn't paint this with light or anything. It was just the
No,
way it was.
no,
Okay.
I mean, it's in Hinga, so we're pretty close to Miami there.
Right.
Yeah. But we were facing away. Now, if I was facing the other way,
Yeah.
right? Because essentially, have you been to the Anhinga, the Royal
Yeah.
Palm?
But
Okay.
not at night, but yeah.
No. But so you know where the picnic tables are. There's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
overhang. I was sitting there, and obviously this is where the Gumbo Limbo. Right to the left here is where the Anhinga goes, and then you go over to the boardwalk.
Gotcha.
The big
Okay.
pond is to the left here.
Is that something you did as a group together? Or you went alone, or I mean, I don't
No,
know.
I
I
was
mean,
with my friend Cheryl. The other,
uh,
yeah, this
okay,
was a Friday night. The Perseid meteor shower was the next night. That was
gotcha.
our club event, and my friend Cheryl, who was also a member of the club, she lives up in Hollywood. And she's, Barb, I want to practice. I'm like, okay, come on down. So she drove down from Hollywood, and we just sat there, and she was a little bit more particular with hers. I just pointed and turned it on, and I see, okay, if that works, good. If it don't work, then I gotta fix something.
All
That's
right.
kind of my philosophy with photography.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so it looks like we're done. Now let me pull up my file. Um, 8, 8. And Hinga Night. Okay. Star Trails. So this is the folder that Lightroom created. Now you can see I got a bunch of other ones in here. So just ignore those. So here are all of our files. Oh, why did that get in there? How the heck did that get in there? Oh, that's the one I did last night. That's right. Let me delete this. Yeah, I was practicing and I forgot to delete this. Hold on. Let me rename this one. There we go. Okay. So here are all 200 of my images. 200 images and 1.56 megabytes each. You can see that in there. Okay, so we've got these all set. If you open them up, it's kind of fun to do this. So I just open it up, make it full screen, and I'm just going to hit the right arrow key, and you can see what a time lapse would look like. I mean, it's a little pixelated. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, now I got stuck. So that's something fun to do. Okay, so we're going to open up Photoshop. I think I opened it up. No, I did not. Come on. Okay, can you see my Photoshop screen? Should be
Yes.
blank or black, yeah. Okay. Okay, so normally when, I don't know if you guys use Photoshop, if you do Lightroom and Photoshop, a lot of times they call, if you start in Lightroom and then you go into Photoshop to do some other things, they call it round tripping, where you can take it from Lightroom, put it into Photoshop, and then when you're done with it, it'll save it back to Lightroom. That's not what's happening here. We're going to have to, oh, let me see, where's my cheat sheet here? There we go. For God's sake. I need a second screen. I have 2 screens at work, you know, and it would be really good if I had 2 at home. Okay. Oh. Yeah, so here's the cheat sheet. So I did do some, I'll put this on the website later on. Okay. And sometimes I have to check to make sure I'm doing this right. All right, so file scripts. Okay, so you're at a blank into Photoshop. So you go to File, and this is going to kind of seem weird. Go to Scripts. And don't ask me what that means because I don't know what it means. And load files into stack. That's what we're going to do. So this box comes up, and we're going to browse. So I'm going to click the Browse button, and it's going to take me. I'm going to go, this is the star trails that I just created. I'm going to open that up. And click one, and then, or just Control All, or Control Command A. So it's selected all these images. You can see they're all selected, and then click OK. Again, like I said, it's just slow. Hopefully it'll be faster on your computer because you're not recording a video. But once it gets in there, what it's going to do is, okay, there we go. Here are all the files. And so they're all in there. We're going to click OK. And that's going to create, every image is going to be loaded up over here in the layers panel. So you can kind of see it growing over here. You can see it spinning. I should have had these ready. The last time I did this, I had them already done, but I don't think it kind of came across as the same way. But as soon as this stuff gets loaded, it's real simple. It's just time consuming. But once you get, if you get into this, like I did, like I was telling you the story of, I went to Mahogany Hammock the first time. It was New Year's. It happened to be a new moon, or close to a new moon, and so I was on the boardwalk at the Mahogany Hammock, so I was facing north, and I shot, and then I went to West Lake, and I shot from there. I think that was east. And then I went down to Flamingo, and I think I shot there. I shot west, and I shot south. Oh no, I did south at Mahogany. Whatever it was, but I went to 4 different places, and because I wanted to see for myself, because I don't know, I've told this story several times. When I first joined the club, I didn't know what I was doing. And I would have these ideas, and I would ask Robert Chaplin, that we most know. I said, Robert, what would happen if I did this? He goes, I don't know. Go try it out and let me know. And I would get mad because I wanted to know the answer. Everything I asked, Robert, how does that work? I don't know. Go try it out. So that's what I was doing, trying it out to see what it would look like. So now you can see all my images are loaded here. There's a whole lot. So the first one is selected. What I'm going to do, just like before, Controller Command and A. Oh, that's not right. Ah. No. Why did it do that? Oh, for God's sake. Sometimes I really hate Photoshop. Give me a second here. I don't know why that's like that. Well, what I want to do is select every layer. So I've got this one highlighted. I'm just going to scroll this little bar down to the bottom, hold the Shift key, and click the bottom. So they are all now selected. And all you got to do, see this here where it says normal? This is called your blend modes. So if you click on the drop-down menu, you've got all these different modes you can try. And now I'm not clicking on anything here. I'm just hovering. So this is normal. And what the blend modes is, it's an instruction for how to tell Photoshop how to blend the images that are below each one. So this is the darken. Now you can see what happens when I just hover. I'm just hovering. We got multiply. You can't see anything. Most of these you're not going to see much. The one you're going to want to use is lighten. See that? There's your lighten. You can do a lighter color, pretty much the same thing. I don't see any difference. This is the other ones here. Now another one I like is pin light. You see how that it does little dots of light at the end? So you can do that as well. But every tutorial is going to say use the lighten blend mode. So I just click on lighten and that's it. There are your star trails. And the thing about star trails, now you think, oh, it's going to be a really cool Milky Way, but you can hardly even see it. You got a little bit. You can almost see that meteor there. So with this, then I would go to File and Export as a JPEG. So export for web, save for web. There we go. So it's JPEG high, and I'm just going to click save. And it's going to ask me where to put it. So I want to put it, follow to my elements, 2018, and hang a night, and Star Trails. So I'm just going to rename it Star Trails. And save. So there it is. There's our JPEG. And you got, this is, if you get some clouds, you can really get some interesting things. I know a lot of people, they hate it when there's clouds in their image, and this one, it kind of doesn't look great. But I've had some images where they, it really looks interesting. I'll have to show you. Are there any questions with what I did here with Photoshop? Let me bring that back up. Any questions what I did here in Photoshop? Questions about blend mode? Here's that pin light. See how those little dots here? I love that. I'm gonna start using that from now on. Anyway, yeah, you can play with it, and this is another thing that took me a long time to figure out. There's a couple of different videos you can find on YouTube that explains what every single blend mode does. And a lot of these are mostly used for graphics, like graphic artists, not so much for photography. But yeah, that's that. So then when I'm done with it, I just close Photoshop because I really don't want to keep this. I've already exported the part that I wanted. So I just click the X. Do I want to save? No. That's that. So I'll show you some other images quick. Well, let's see, what year was that? 2016. The first time I ever did them, we were at Dinner Island Ranch. Let's see here. So you can see all the clouds in the skies here. That's just a single image. Where are they? Final. Here we go. So you can see what those clouds did. This is when you get the, this is Polaris. If you point at the North Star, and the star trails will circle around it. So I was facing north. And then all these clouds that were drifting through made these. So I don't really care for this part here, but over the barn, I think that kind of looks cool. So that was facing north. Now I've tried to fix things, and this little bit of, I don't even know what that is. It's probably just because of my old camera. Barn. And then there is a water tank. For those of us that have been out there, Is this it? There's the water tank and the Milky Way, or not the Milky Way. The Milky Way actually is behind me, so we don't even have the Milky Way in here. This is just star trails. And the Polaris. And this one was light painted. It wasn't by me. There was a bunch of us, and one of the guys was painting it, and I think he did it a little bit overboard, but I didn't know what I was doing. This is my first time, and I was just having a good time learning. I'll show you what I did in here. Okay, yeah, so mahogany hammock. Now, forgive the processing. Yeah, I wasn't real good with the color cast. So this was at mahogany hammock facing north. You can see, I think I was doing 300 images here. So you can really get something really cool. This was at New Year's Eve. So, and then I turned to the south. And this is what it looked like to the south. So it's a little bit different. I kind of like that. Yeah, a little bit of light painting would have been nice. Like I said, I didn't know what I was doing much. And for me, I was painting it from behind the camera and it just didn't look good. And then I went to Westlake and shot it from the east. You see the pier, there's looking east. And this light is from my phone because every couple minutes I kept hearing a splash. And there are crocodiles in this lake. So I was looking out for the crocs. I didn't care what it did to the pier. And Flamingo. I went down to Flamingo then. Oh, let's see. Where's a good one? So this is that gas station. And this I didn't really mind. The cars were driving through. You can see the car trails. So I got headlights and taillights, but they weren't shining at me. So it kind of looked cool. You got the little, headlights, and then the star trails. And of course the pink gas station, the old gas station. What was this one? Oh, yeah. I even had a park ranger come up, and I think it was after midnight. What you doing here? I said, well, I'm standing there with a tripod and a camera. I'm like, what do you think I'm doing? You want to see any more?
Sure. Hey, Barbara.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Lowell. You were just
Lowell.
mentioning, there was that little subtle pattern on some of your images.
Yeah.
So I've had that happen to me before, and what I have found that to be is in Lightroom, I think it was, if you turn off your lens profile, I think that's the cause of it.
Oh.
It sounds crazy, but I guess it's whatever it is.
I haven't. I should probably try to reprocess them and see what it does.
Because that happened to me and it was driving me nuts.
Yeah.
And then someone told me about that, and sure enough, that was the fix.
Yeah, someone told me.
So on all the images, just
Moire or something like that.
Right. It's the lens profile where I guess it's telling it, it's making the lens do something,
Right.
to fit the profile. But if you turn that off, you'll be golden.
So this was the last time, I think, when we were out at the, this was Flamingo. The club was out there doing, at Perseids. I didn't get any meteors, maybe a couple of little ones here, but now, if you've been down to Flamingo, okay, I'll show you those. Those were cool. During COVID, I rented one of those tents. When was I there? In August? July? Oh, here we go. Flamingo. No, that was October. I did it twice. And the club came out. There we go. And what I did is I set up the camera Where the hell is it? So I was staying in one of those eco tents down in Flamingo, and they have a deck. So I set the camera up, and I went into the tent, and I went to bed, and I just let the camera do the work. Oh, what the heck happened to him? That's not it. I thought I had star trails. Oh, this is just clouds. No, I can't find it now. Oh, here we go. No, that's not it either. Oh, what the heck? Well, either or. If that's something that you're into, in the summertime, here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Stop share. Okay. In the summertime, you can rent those tents for like $50 a night. They pull all the furniture out of them, except for you get like a stand light. What do you call those? Like a tree light, and then a box fan. They give you a fan, and if you have like a chair that you can sleep in, or a cot, you know, like maybe like a lounge chair you can bring with you, and you can sleep there and set up. Now I made sure to get a tent that was facing Florida Bay, and oh my God, it was hot, yes, but so I was uncomfortable for one night, but I had some really cool pictures come out of it, and it was nice because there's not a whole lot of people who goes down to Flamingo in the middle of summer, spend the night. So, any other questions from anybody?
No, but thank you so much, Barbara. That was really great. I learned a lot.
Oh, great. Yeah, hopefully we can do this in person. Yeah, we're going to do, so this month, the end of February, Jason's going to take us out to Kirby Storter. And he does like that deep space stuff. I don't normally do stuff like that because it's just a lot of technical stuff and I'm not into that. But I think in June I've got something else planned. I can't remember what month, and I'll explain how to do all these things a little bit better. But yeah, this is kind of like if you want to try it out. And I would even go online and just go to YouTube, find out how to use it, how to set up your camera, and then go out and play with it. Just go out where it's dark. If somebody comes in with a flashlight, yeah, you're just practicing. It's fun.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, Barb.
Everybody
Thank
good?
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you
Thanks, Barb.
next week maybe at the meeting.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Bye.